Good day, learners. I am teacher Jessica Alcaraz-Sungguad, your teacher in statistics and probability. We are in quarter 4, week 1, and for week 1, we'll be talking about understanding hypothesis testing. We have 3 learning competencies for this week, which can be seen in your learning activity sheets. For the Explore, you're going to determine whether the statement is true or false and write your answer in your notebook and check your answer with the answer key at the end of the activity sheets. Hypothesis is a proposition, statement, or assumption based on some previous observation about the value of a population parameter for testing purposes. Hypothesis testing is a decision-making process for evaluating claims about a population based on the characteristic of a sample purportedly coming from that population. The decision is whether the characteristic is acceptable or not. We have types of hypothesis: the null hypothesis, denoted by H sub 0, a statement that there is no difference between a parameter and a specific value, or that there is no difference between two parameters. Alternative hypothesis, denoted by H sub 1, is a statement that there is a difference between a parameter and a specific value, or that there is a difference between two parameters. There are two types of alternative hypothesis: the non-directional or the two-tailed, that is when the alternative hypothesis utilizes the symbol not equal, and the directional or the one-tailed, when the alternative hypothesis utilizes the symbol less than for the left-tailed and greater than for the right-tailed. Level of significance: it is the probability of committing a type 1 error, denoted by alpha. It is also called the size of the critical region. Under the normal curve, the rejection region refers to the region where the value of the test statistics lies for which we will reject the null hypothesis. The region is called critical region. So you have there the rejection and the non-rejection. So for the fail to reject the null hypothesis, if the test statistics fails in the non-rejection, but if the null hypothesis falls, if the test statistics falls in the rejection region, meaning you're going to reject the null hypothesis. Test statistic is the value calculated from the sample data to assist us in making decision. We have types of errors. Type 1 error or alpha error occurs when a true hypothesis is rejected. The value of alpha is called the level of significance of the test. Type 2 error or beta error occurs when false null hypothesis is rejected. The value of 1 minus beta is called the power of the test. So you have 4 possible outcomes in decision making. So you have the actual situation, your null hypothesis is true and your null hypothesis is false. We have 2 decisions, that is to reject the null or do not reject the null, meaning you're going to accept the null. So for type 1 error, meaning the null hypothesis is true and you reject it. For type 2 error, the null hypothesis is false and you do not reject it, meaning you accept the false null hypothesis. For statement for a true null hypothesis and you do not reject it, that is a correct decision. For a false null hypothesis and you reject it, that is a correct decision. So if the null hypothesis is true and accepted, or if it is a false and rejected, the decision is correct. But if the null hypothesis is true and rejected, the decision is incorrect, and that is a type 1 error. If the null hypothesis is false and accepted, the decision is incorrect and that is a type 2 error. Take a look at this example. The owner of the buko juice claims that the average capacity of the plastic cup is 250 ml. They observe mean capacity of 100 cups is 243 milliliter with a standard deviation of 0.10 milliliter. So if we're going to state the null hypothesis, that should be the buko juice contains 250 ml per cup. So your alternative hypothesis is the buko juice do not contain 250 ml per cup. So in symbol, you can write that one as um, null hypothesis equals mu equals 250. Your alternative hypothesis is mu not equal to 250. So in this example, the alternative hypothesis is non-directional since in the situation that it is not mentioned that it is not greater than or less than, so it is assumed to be two-tailed. For example, number 2, Pedro believes that the using organic fertilizer on his plant will yield greater income. His average income from the past was 200,000 per year. So our alternative our null hypothesis is the average income is 200,000 per year, whereas our alternative hypothesis is that the average income is greater than 200,000 per year. So for symbol, our null hypothesis is mu equals 200,000, and our alternative is mu greater than 200,000. So that is a directional and right-tailed. For the engaged, you're going to write the null and alternative hypothesis in words and in symbol. Write your answer in your notebook and check your answer with the answer key at the end of the activity sheets. For the apply, which will serve as your assessment, you're going to answer 10 items multiple choice test, 1 point each. Again, keep in reminding you, avoid copying from your classmates.